everybody, and welcome back to another Tip and a Sip. As always, I am Paul Trogdon with Sweet T Realty, and today we have with us Mr. Ryan Hales with My Carolina Insurance. Ryan, thank you for joining with me for another Tip and a Sip. And like I said, he does insurance. So, today we're going to talk about, maybe insurance. Just a thought. A thought.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Sounds good. So I wanted to start with what we've kind of seen. I guess past to a certain degree, now future type thing. But just wanted to get a concept of about 2 years ago, before all the cancer stuff happened. I remember hearing insurance is coming. In other words, the rates were going to raise up really high and everything. And I've seen a couple things kind of hit my wallet. So can you talk to what kind of has happened in the last year or two type thing?
Sure, happy to. Since Hurricane Florence happened around here, we haven't seen much since then, but the insurance companies have been paying out claims in Louisiana, Florida, all the Gulf Coast, places like that. On these catastrophic claims that they have, when they go over a certain amount, they have to file insurance called reinsurance. So when they make a claim on their reinsurance to help pay for these giant catastrophic events that are billions of dollars, just like our rates go up when we file a claim, their insurance rates go up on their reinsurance. So
insurance for an insurance company.
That is correct. Yep.
Man,
yep.
They're getting screwed too.
So when they get it like that, they send it down the hill to us. So then we have to pay the difference on that. So a lot of the rate increase we saw last year, some was due to the reinsurance rates going up on these insurance carriers, causing them to have to pay more money. So along with that, you had guidelines tighten up on roofs and things like that, because the older the roof is, the more the reinsurance costs them as well. So a lot of insurance carriers started tightening up where they won't allow insurance policies written on roofs older than 15 years old.
I was going to ask that question, so I'm glad that you touched on that. So that is one of the things that we have seen here in the last year and a half, where if you are going to buy a home, if that roof is over 15 years old, you might not be able to get insurance on that. That might be something that you might need to have a negotiator, maybe a master certified negotiator, that could help get that whenever you are doing your due diligence on the home. We find out how old the roof is, but that's definitely good information to know from that standpoint.
It definitely impacts the rates moving forward. We're independent agents, so we have about 20, 30 carriers we can shop the insurance with, but as that roof gets older and older and older, we start ticking off the different carriers that we can shop with, and we end up down to one or two carriers that we can shop with. So you wouldn't be able to find the best rate with the older roofs and stuff. So you still might find placement for it, but not the best rate that everybody wants around here.
So let me pivot. I don't even know if you could talk to this, but you were talking about older, and made me think of some things that I've seen on TikToks and YouTubes here lately. I've been noticing insurance-wise, I guess life insurance, where people are losing their life insurance, and and it's making people just go wanting to thumb themselves at insurance people. Now, my understanding, first of all, you're not the person to that's not your insurance type thing.
No, sir.
Can you tell me what is going on with that? Because are we hearing the whole story? I mean, are people literally paying hundreds of $1,000s in and then getting $5 back and getting canceled on? Is that really happening?
We do not carry life insurance where I'm at, but 19 years ago when I got into business, I was a door-to-door life insurance man. And so I can't speak about the life insurance. I'm also licensed in it as well. But what happened was people took out universal whole lives back then, and they weren't told how to properly fund them. If they were properly funded with money, then yes, they would be getting the dividends and the money they were supposed to get back off of them nowadays. But if somebody said, well, you can take this policy out and pay the bare minimum of $20 a month, and you'll have this policy, and you did it that way, then you paid the bare minimum, and unfortunately you're going to end up in the end with bare minimum coming back out of it.
All right. Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So all these people are trying to give you a sob story. Unfortunately, they kind of created it themselves. They didn't check the fine print, and Lord knows in today's time,
yep, unfortunately, that's
you
right.
definitely got to check the fine print.
Yes, sir.
So with that said, and insurance-wise, and kind of cracking down on roofs or anything, is there anything else insurance-wise moving forward that with some tips that you might be able to give us? From, I mean, obviously there's always the tip of don't get the in a wreck.
Yeah, that always helps.
Don't get the speeding tickets. Yeah, that will help with insurance.
That's for sure.
But what all can My Carolina Insurance do? Because you hear about, hey, I'm going to combine my insurance, with car and auto and housing and stuff. So does that really save any money? And what are some tips that you might be able to give?
It does save some money, and us being an independent agency, we can shop the homeowners over several different homeowners carriers, and we can shop the automobile over several carriers. So, and as long as they're under our umbrella, we can put the discounts on there for the companion discount on one or the other or both sides of that. So it does help. And us being an independent agency, we can shop it through multiple marketplaces as opposed to somebody that only has their market just to shop it with. So it can help in the future with that. I mean, when it comes to tips for insurance, like you say, the main thing is just not getting in wrecks. Call your insurance agent or call us if you think you've got a claim to file so we can discuss it with you. If you have a $2,500 deductible and the claim's probably going to be about $3,000 worth of work, probably not worth filing the claim for $500 and potentially paying on that 3 years down the road for the penalty. So, yep.
Now, here's a tip that I know a lot of people want to say, and I'm going to go ahead and give this to you, and Ryan doesn't even know about this tip, and that is, don't have kids. Don't have a 16-year-old that needs a car that's going to drive. My goodness, it's one of those things that is amazing. Like, I'm just sitting here going, did my parents have to pay that much whenever I turned 16?
Mine are 8 and 12, and I'm already saving for it. So
I love you, Zoe. I really do, and you are a great driver. You really are, but dang, man. Even as a great driver, man, some of those prices. So moving forward, especially since most people... Oh, there we go. As always, we're on a front porch with our tip and a sip, so we got some traffic coming by. So we'll give it a second. So anyway, what I was going to ask was, so moving forward, since most everybody here are for tips, with houses and, buying and selling and everything, as far as insurance go, are we seeing any huge difference, or is anything coming down the line with insurance with houses?
The rate bureau asked for a 42% rate increase this year.
Oh, 42%.
Just 42%, but that's across the board in North Carolina. So on the inland counties, it may be like Raleigh, it might be a 9% increase. Some places coastal here, it was going to be in the 90% increase. So that's across the board, 40-some%. So of course our commissioner shot that down. The rate bureau does not make the rates. The commissioner of insurance has to agree to them. So he shot that down. The court hearing for that is October the 7th. He's up for re-election in November, so I wouldn't foresee him doing anything like that prior to November. So.
Re-elect me.
Yeah.
I just doubled what you owe.
So something will come down the line in 2020. I think it was, they asked for 25%. He talked them down to 7%. So he will be negotiating. So we will see some increases probably next year, but it'll be up to what the Rate Bureau and the Department of Insurance come together on and decide on sometime, probably after November if I had to guess. But
all right.
Best way to minimize that is shop the insurance, try to find some of these private markets that we use that can write the wind and hail incorporated in one policy, and try to keep it down as best you can. So new roof always helps premiums too. Things like that help. So yes, sir.
All right. Now, as far as new roofs, and that, is there anything else with houses that anybody could help try to bring their premium down or anything?
You got your normal discounts. Of course, you add the companion discount with the automobile. If you have a security system, that helps. Even if it's just a local alarm system, we can add a credit for that. If you pay for a monitoring service, we get a bigger credit for that. It's never enough to pay for the monitoring service, but if you actually have one for your well-being to begin with, we should add the credit on the homeowners to get you that discount as well.
Never heard that before, so that's a good tip. Great tip right there for everybody. So with seeing an inevitable increase, and hopefully not
minimal, we hope
9 to 90%. Would you say with insurance companies, obviously passing that along and whatnot, would we see insurance companies coming down on their coverage or anything along those lines with that? Did we see that in 2020 with the 7% increase? Because it almost seems like today, and again, this is more the inflation type thing, and I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but is it something where you're going to have to pay more for less, more for less, and not a good way?
Unfortunately, you got to insure for the home for what the cost to rebuild the house is.
Okay.
So if the rebuild cost of the house is $300,000, you're going to have your dwelling set at $300,000. So will that cost more next year than it cost this year? Yes, and when that happens. So
Okay.
now most of these policies do have inflation guards in them, so every year they go up 2 to 3% in dwelling values. So if you think that went up too much over the last year, you can always have your agent look at it and possibly bring that dwelling value back down, as long as the house is still properly insured. But it's going to go up, but you're going to pay for the same amount, more premium for the same amount that you had last year, just due to the rate increases what happened.
Okay.
What we can hope for is that since we've had some quiet years around here, knock on wood, that these insurance companies start making some money, they're not filing more reinsurance claims, and when that happens, then they can possibly give us a little bit of reprieve on some of the rates that they're having to give us because of these reinsurance prices and rate increases for the states and things like that. So,
all right.
And hopefully more companies come to town as well. So, yeah.
Well, and I was going to touch on that for a second also, if you could. So at one point, talking with you for clients and hearing from a couple other insurance agents here in the Southeast North Carolina area, one of the things that we were kind of seeing was a bunch of companies pulling out, like Progressive pulling out and bringing it down to, for lack of a better word, it almost felt like it's becoming almost a monopoly down here. You can't get anything unless you're with this one particular company. What was the idea behind that, and where is that kind of sitting at right now?
Well, like, I've been doing it 18 years, and we always had a new company that would come to town every year that we could write with that had gave a good rate. Well, since Florence happened, that's kind of slowed down. You don't have companies wanting to come here because the reinsurance is high and it's more expensive for them to do business here. So, and the companies that were here, like Progressive or some other companies that may have not been charged an adequate rate, then they need to pull out, because if they didn't get enough money to cover the claims that may happen. So there's a reinsurance firm they'll have them there. So.
Gotta love sitting on the front porch. I thought I was back in a quiet neighborhood, but I guess not. We're seeing a lot of landscape. It's springtime and at the filming of this, we're mid late March. So I'm surprised we're not sneezing all over and that we're covered in yellowish green color. So I do apologize if some of the sound didn't come through. But basically what Ryan said is we're screwed. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But no. So that's good to know from a standpoint that it's not companies are just bailing to bail because they're not making any money. It's just one of those things that Florence happened, things slowed down. Certain companies who are under appreciating what they were doing, they're getting out of the game.
Yep.
But that's also a good thing because they're not going to cover you.
We still have multiple carriers in the area. It's just ones that were in the area that the reinsurance got higher than what they could charge per premium. They just didn't like it, so they backed out of the area. We've had a couple go insolvent. United Property and Casualty went insolvent. Lighthouse went insolvent. So that happens around here too. If they don't get proper rate, they spread themselves out too thin. That can happen as well, where they go insolvent. And touching on that, I mean, there's different types of carriers out there. You have admitted carriers and non-admitted carriers. Non-admitted carrier would not be backed by our state of North Carolina.
Okay.
So there's a lot of quotes going out from non-admitted carriers out there. And if you pick one of those, that's fine, but you just need to understand that non-admitted carrier means if they go bankrupt or insolvent for any reason, they technically don't have to pay the claims. You could be left holding the claim yourself. So.
All right, so I'm learning more in the last 15 minutes than I've ever known. This man has more information, and that's why, let me just go ahead and say, even if you're happy with the insurance company that you're with right now, give Ryan a call. With My Carolina Insurance, you can see the man's got the knowledge. I want to thank you for coming out, sitting on the front porch, having a sip and tip with me. Thank you for your time. Thank you for like I said, this is just good knowledge to have about insurance companies and kind of where things are. Because like I said, I know talking with clients and everything. Well, that's more than, and rates have gone up, and we're seeing that overall. But that's one of the reasons why I'm here. That's one of the reasons why I surround myself with gurus like Ryan. I'm not the man that has all the knowledge. I'm the man that knows the man. I want to be the dumbest person in the room surrounded by the smartest people in the room whenever it comes to this stuff. But that's why we are here for my clients and for my friends and families and neighbors. That's why we're here for you, to offer a good sip and these great tips so that you are knowledgeable whenever it comes time to sell or buy your next home. With that, guys, we'll see you on the next tip and sip. God bless.